Hello fellow Potterhead, I'm Anita, and in this video today I'm going to talk about mainly JK Rowling and a little bit about Crimes of Grindelwald. First of all, I'm sorry about the quality of the video. This is my first ever video. I don't have a camera, so I'm using my brother's tablet. It's awful, so I'm really sorry about that. And well, I'm not British or American or whatever, so my accent's a bit weird and I'm going to mispronounce some stuff, so I apologize in advance for any and all mistakes. That aside, I would like to start with a couple of disclaimers. Number one, this video is going to contain spoilers for Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, so if you haven't seen it, stop right here, right? And if you don't care, then go ahead and watch it. But I'm going to spoil the movie, so if you haven't seen it, stop. As a second disclaimer, I actually haven't watched the movie myself, but how the hell am I going to talk about it if I haven't seen it? You may ask. Good point. Well, I actually have watched hours and hours of YouTube videos commenting on the movie. So I basically know everything that happens in those 2 hours. And this video in particular is going to be about JK Rowling and not the movie itself. I'm only using that because I think that a lot of issues I have with JK Rowling that have been building in the last decade are actually being brought to the extreme by the movie. Okay, but this is not going to be a review about Crimes of Grindelwald. This is just like, you know, a rant about JK Rowling. And this is making me sad, actually, because I love the Harry Potter franchise. I grew up with it. And it's making me sad to see the direction that they're taking it. My father gave me this present. I was 7, and it was Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And from that moment on, I totally fell in love with it. And I still remember going to the theater with my family to watch the first movie, and the sense of hope, okay, and happiness and hopefulness I felt diving into this world of magic. And with all that is happening lately, right, in the world in general, I thought that Fantastic Beasts was going to be something like the first Harry Potter movies. I wanted to be hopeful. I wanted to be this big adventure of this explorer going to see these amazing, beasts and magical creatures. And it wasn't. The first Fantastic Beasts movie, I think, is pretty average. I mean, I didn't hate it. I didn't come out of the theater thinking, wow, I can't wait to see the next one. But, it was okay. It wasn't the best movie I'd ever seen, but it was alright. But then in the 2 years that have, passed between Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them and The Crimes of Grindelwald, JK Rowling has revealed a few things that I'm not really happy about. Well, first of all, and so many people have already talked about these issues, but I need to get this off my chest, so I'm going to repeat them. First of all, the choice to keep Johnny Depp into the franchise, it's not a good choice. And it was so easy for them to replace him because they already did it in the first Fantastic Beasts. You had Colin, who played Percival Graves, that later turned out to be Grindelwald. So you could have easily recast him. It was not going to be a problem. But no, not only they decided to keep him, but they actually were like, no, we're really happy about him, about his performance. Okay, I guess, but I'm not really happy about this choice. And especially coming from JK Rowling, who is a self-proclaimed feminist. This is bad. This is bad. Okay. And then the other thing that she said was that Nagini was going to be in the movie. Again, many people have already talked about it. I'm not going into the details of why this choice is totally fucked, right? What I was wondering is this. She told us that she had this idea for 20 years now. At first I thought, well, she's lying. Obviously, she just came out with it last month and she just wants us to believe that she has this amazing idea for the last 20 years. She kept it in a closet. Now she's taking it out and gifting it to us. But then I started to think, well, with all the stuff that she's coming up with lately, I'm not really sure that she hasn't actually been holding onto this idea for 20 years. And if so, if this is true, please, Jo, I'm telling you, find yourself better friends, because clearly they hate you. Like, you have to have told someone about this. And the fact that they didn't tell you how stupid and offensive it was tells me that they hate you, alright? So, that's what I have to say about the whole Nagini situation. And then we also have the problem with Dumbledore not being gay. So, I was 16, 17, I don't remember precisely when the last book came out. I was, like, the first day I was there because I had to read it. Obviously, it was the last book, and I had waited for so long to see the ending of this great saga. And so I read the book, and I was like, you know what? I think that Dumbledore was in love with Grindelwald. They clearly were in love. They were gay for each other. And I was a little disappointed that it wasn't made explicitly canon. But at the time I thought, well, it's 2007. It's a franchise that was meant for kids. I understand if, maybe the publisher didn't let her tell the whole story. So I was going to excuse her for not making it canon. And then she gave this interview. Yeah, Dumbledore is gay. All right, fantastic. Now it's 2018. Okay, things have changed. Why Dumbledore is still not gay? Can you tell me why? Please tell me. Because this is like getting points for, diversity and representation and not putting the work into it. And I can't say that I am not disappointed, because I am. And it's not like, there are so many characters in the Harry Potter books that I personally add canon as not straight or cis. But, that's just something that I do. And I'm not going to be mad about the fact that, for instance, Harry isn't bisexual in the movies, whatever. That's not the story that she was telling about the character. But that was the story that she was telling about Dumbledore. So why not making it canon? Mostly because it would have worked a lot better than the Blood Pact. It just doesn't make sense narratively that Dumbledore isn't gay, right? You already had the unbreakable vow, and then you come up with this like diluted version of it in the Blood Pact. And well, first of all, I'm like, well, why is not mentioned before in the books or the other movies? You clearly invented it for this installment, because you didn't want their relationship to be a homoerotic one, because it would have been a lot better and it would have engaged the audience more if the reason why Dumbledore can't fight Grindelwald is because he's still in love with him, and he's still, he doesn't want to kill him because he loved him and he's conflicted about it. Why are you not doing this? I'm starting to think that you are not really all that concerned about the LGBTQ cause. You just wanted the points for representation. And the same goes for the other criticisms that have been thrown her way during the last few years about diversity in her works. It was a different time. She probably didn't think about diversity, about her books being really that diverse. I'm not complaining about that. My true complaint is that she hasn't taken responsibility for it. Like, if I tell you that I would have loved for Hermione to be black, because that would have fit into the story. I mean, she was a mudblood. It stands to reason that the racism in the wizarding world would translate to racism in our world. So Hermione is a Muggle-born, and she is also black. You didn't write her that way. Do not claim later that you had, because you absolutely did not. Like, take responsibility for your choices. You could have told us, you know what, you're right, I should have. I didn't think about it. I'm okay with, like, in Cursed Child, with the casting of Hermione as a black woman. It's actually a really good idea. I should have had that idea myself. I didn't. But the way she claims to have had this wonderful idea about diversity when she clearly didn't, it's the thing that really bothers me. Or like when they asked her about Jewish people in Hogwarts, and she was like, yeah, obviously Anthony Goldstein. And I'm like, well, first of all, he's one student in a really large group. And second, we see him for like 2 books. He's a secondary character. Did you really think that he was Jewish? Or you just happened to give him a certain, and you were like, oh, people are complaining about it. Let's see. Oh, Anthony Goldstein. All right, is the Jewish one. It doesn't look good. It doesn't. And also, we have 2 Goldsteins. I actually know that in English it's pronounced Goldstein, but I thought that it was from Germany, so I'm pronouncing that as Goldstein. Sorry. So we have Queenie and Tina, who are 2 Goldstein, and they are involved in this plot with this wizard that is basically Wizard Hitler, and nobody is asking themselves if, especially in these last few years, we know what is going on in the world and how Nazis are basically making a comeback, did nobody ask themselves, can we maybe, include some representation of Jewish people in this franchise? No. The answer is no. All right. So you see, there are a lot of things that JK could have done better, but that she didn't even try. She didn't even apologize for the stuff about the, I don't know how to pronounce it, sorry, the wizarding school in America, in North America. I do not know enough about, Native Americans to really dive into the whole thing. But I'm not the one who wrote about it. I mean, if JK wanted to use the stories, well, she should have studied them a little better. And she should have apologized later for misinterpreting and appropriating them when natives told her that she didn't do a nice thing. But she just ignored them completely. She didn't say anything about it. She's just like, well, whatever. Why do I care? Which is not a good way to have a relationship with your fandom, because I do really think that she is alienating a huge portion of the fandom. I will love the Harry Potter world till the day I die, probably. I will. But I'm not going to love the new installments in the franchise. I'm not even gonna watch them. And I really had an admiration for JK Rowling, and in these last few years it's just sunk to the bottom of the ocean, just like the Titanic. It was the Titanic that Leda was on, with the old baby switching plot. I don't even know what that's about. It's sad. It's sad. And that's the reason why I didn't go to watch Crimes of Grindelwald, because I didn't want to, get mad in the theater and maybe just stand up at one point and walk out, because I know that I would have had the temptation to do so at some point. And this is a thing that already happened to me like 6 months ago, when I went to watch episode 8, which I hated. It's so bad. It's really bad. And Star Wars is the other saga I grew up with. Basically, there was Star Wars and then there was Harry Potter, and they shaped who I am. And I was so disappointed about episode 8. I didn't want to talk about it or think about it. And I feel like JK Rowling is going down that same path with Fantastic Beasts. And the most disappointing thing is that she's the one who wrote Crimes of Grindelwald. And she ruined her own work. And she did it for fan service mainly, I believe. And I am honestly done giving money to people who are basically selling their artistic integrity for cash. Like the whole thing with McGonagall, for instance, she is not born yet. She isn't born yet. She is born in 1935. So how can she be in Hogwarts when Newt is just a kid? She can't be. She was obviously put there because it would make some of the fans nostalgic. But I would argue that it made a lot of the fans really, really angry. Because it serves no purpose. It, it, it doesn't mean anything. You just name dropped her, basically, into the franchise because people would go, oh, look, there's McGonagall. Well, she isn't born yet. She can't be there. Right. And I could maybe pass that off as a mistake because, and this is something that has been bothering me for years now. She basically told us in Pottermore or in the books, I don't remember, but whatever. She told us that James and Lily and Peter and Remus are all born in 1960. But Sirius is actually born in 1959. How is that possible? Because they all went to Hogwarts together. They're in the same year. Because Sirius can't be born in 1959. But I guess that is a mistake, alright? That's clearly a mistake on her part. That she could have avoided if only she'd read the other biographies she wrote for James, Lily, and all the other characters. But okay, whatever. But this is huge. Like, we are not talking about 1 year. We're talking about almost 40. It's not a mistake. It was willingly put there. And why? Why it doesn't serve any purpose. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is the whole thing with the Imperius curse. It's been talked a lot about, love potions and Imperiuses in the fandom, because they basically amounts, I'm sorry about this, but they basically amounts to rape. So I don't understand why in one case we see, in this movie, we see the Imperius curse used in a awful way against Yusuf's mom, and it's rightfully condemned. And then Queenie uses it, and it's like, well, she was in love, and Jacob already loved her, so, I'm like, no, this is wrong. This is wrong. You can't change the rules about this very important stuff in the same movie. By the way, I just found it icky. And also the whole plot with Queenie and Jacob, it was disturbing, I think, because they're in love, and then she puts him under the Imperius curse, and then he tells her that basically it's not that he doesn't want to marry her, he just doesn't want her to go to prison because muggles or no mage can't marry witches and wizards. And then she still abandons him and goes to Grindelwald, which, I mean, we know that Grindelwald doesn't really like muggles. Maybe he doesn't want to exterminate them, but there's no guarantee that he will be, open to marriages between muggles and wizards and witches, because, well, he wants to kind of keep them separate. But I'm not really sure that it would be all like, yeah, let's get married to each other, whatever. Also, she's a ghost sign, like I said before, so. The other thing that I didn't like about this movie, which I haven't watched, I'm sorry, but that I think it's, talks. How do you say that in English? I'm going to rewind. The other thing that I didn't like about the movie, because I think that it speaks of a huge problem, a huge issue with JK, is the big reveal in the end about the true identity of Credence. Well, first of all, Credence is alive. We don't know how, whatever. And we find out that he is actually Aurelius Dumbledore. Now, we have never heard about a fourth sibling. We know about Albus, we know about Aberforth, and we know about Ariana. Nobody in the books ever mentioned an Aurelius. And where does it come from? I mean, Grindelwald could be lying. It could be lying. But again, lately I'm not sure that JK really knows what she's doing. And so I have no problem believing that she just magicked another Dumbledore sibling because it would be cool for the story, and we have 3 other movies to go, so I don't know where it comes from, because Dumbledore's mother was died way before Credence was born, and his father was in Azkaban, also way before Credence was born. Where did it come from? But this is the kind of plot that Rowling has used in her later books, I think, which is made to impress, but that doesn't really serve any purpose, or, it just feels a little cheap. Like all the deaths in the last book. Was it really that necessary to kill all those characters? Because she wanted to give us to get an emotional reaction ahead of us, but she didn't have to exterminate half of the wizarding world. And I understand that it was war, but it feels like she did it because it would blow our minds. But the one character that maybe should have died, unpopular opinion here, is Harry, because I always felt like his sacrifice was a little cheap, because he immediately resurrects. He's given the choice that the other characters didn't have by Dumbledore, who is wizarding Jesus, wizarding God, I don't know. Don't get me started about the whole thing with religion and Christianity in Harry Potter, which I never understood. And so the whole movie was filled with plot twist after plot twist after plot twist. And I'm left with the feeling that she went for, the amazement, but the characters and the whole world that she had built suffered for it, because I don't really care about the new characters. I've said it. I don't care. Like, even when I watched Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, I wasn't really that invested in their stories. I wasn't. And I have the feeling that in Crimes of Grindelwald, the characters are put aside even more than in the first one, to make space. Do you say to make space? For this plot twist. And I think that's a very American way to do stuff. And it's the same reason why I stopped watching Doctor Who, for instance. I've started the new season now with Jodie because she's amazing. But at a certain point during the Moffat era, I was like, no, I can't do this anymore, because Doctor Who was a story about people, and now it's just becoming this mind-blowing, plot, which doesn't really tell me anything. It's not giving me any emotions. I don't care about the characters, because the characters are not the main focus. The story and the cleverness of the story is the focus, and I don't give a shit about that, honestly. And I think that the same thing is happening with Harry Potter, which is really, really sad. I don't know where I wanted to go with this. I've talked for 30 minutes. I am so sorry. The point is that I've been a Potterhead my whole life. I'm 26 now, and as I was saying, the first book came out in 1997, so I was 6 at the time. And Harry Potter has been with me my whole life, so I'm really, really emotional about it. And seeing the series being torn apart by JK Rowling herself is disheartening, is why it is. And I mean, like, I have all the books. I have wands in that box right there. I also have Lucius Malfoy's cane because I want to cosplay him. And I mean, I have spent a lot of money and a lot of energies, and I have invested them into this franchise because it was dear to my heart. And I really admired JK Rowling, but the decisions that she has made in the last few years have really, it's like I feel betrayed. Yeah, I feel betrayed by JK Rowling. And I know I shouldn't. I mean, I'm almost 30. I should not care about this, but I do. And I really, really hoped that she would have a change of heart and maybe, take responsibility for some of the stuff that she has said during the years. But she's just, going forward down this path, and she's basically, just digging her own grave and she's going to lie in it. And I think that she is going to really, lose a lot of the love that the fandom had towards her, because she doesn't seem to love Harry Potter anymore. She loves the money, maybe, which is, again, sad. So, if you stayed with me for 30 minutes. You are a saint and I love you. I apologize again for the quality of the video and for my terrible accent. And I'm sorry because I wanted to talk about a lot of stuff and I don't think I've covered even half of it, but I really have to cut it now. I don't want to make you go to sleep, basically. And I don't know, maybe I'll do some other videos, probably not. But like I said, I had to get this off my chest, and I'm still going to love the world that she had built, but I'm going to, maybe concentrate on the Starkid productions a little more. Going now, bye!